Hello and welcome to episode 421 of the No Sugarcoating Podcast. How are you? How's your day? How's your week? Happy official summer to us in the Western world. I hope you're enjoying some beautiful weather. We're finally getting some rain, which has just been so welcomed. It's funny, actually. I live close to the Rocky Mountains. So Banff, Canmore, Lake Louise, Jasper is about a 3-hour drive. You'll have to check out some photos if you Google those. It's absolutely beautiful, but they got like 60 centimeters of snow this week and had to like close the highway. So it's a bit extreme, but the moisture is better than fire, so we'll take it. So yeah, what a ride. We're into summer. I hope you are enjoying it. It always goes by so fast. So we're gonna have a really powerful conversation today around power. And when I say power, I don't mean like corrupt power, like so much of stuff going on in the world. I mean like your personal power. And I talk about the ego all the time. So we're going to explore our power leaks. I'm going to give you a bunch of different examples of ways we can leak power. And rest assured, you're going, oh my gosh, I have most of these or all of these. Don't worry. It's just to bring to your awareness, and then we can start picking away at working on this. Okay, what does power versus giving it away feel like? And then how do we start to clean up these leaks? So we're going to dive into all of that today. Of course, any details that I talk about today will be in the show notes. So you can check out all the announcements and details in the show notes at amberapproved.ca/podcast/421. Of course, you can check everything out below in the description if you're watching the video on YouTube. So just a couple things. Okay, it's my birthday in like 2 weeks. So stay tuned because there's going to be something really fun dropping for you for my birthday week, the week of July 9th, 10th. Okay. So you're going to want to stay tuned because it's going to be super fun and you're going to have the chance to get an incredible savings on so many things that I offer. Plus, you're going to be entered in to win some really great things that I think could really benefit you on your journey. So stay tuned, mark your calendar. I will share a little more next week and then I'll drop all the deets the following Sunday. But you won't want to miss out. And then, of course, because we're leading up to my birthday, I've also been talking about the one-on-one coaching savings. So 1,000 off the 6-month program and 2,000 off of the 1-year program. If you are wanting to start to work on addressing and overcoming emotional eating, binging and purging, if you want to live more in your power through the summer and learn how to live in it for the rest of your life, you want to build the body confidence, you want to stop chasing the numbers on the scale, you want to master your ego, you want to get the answers as to why you have the hormone and gut imbalances and the low energy and the fatigue and the weight gain and all the, right? All these things that I'm always talking about. If you're resonating with the podcast and you want to reach out and explore support, you can take advantage of the savings for the next 2 weeks on 1-year and 6-month coaching programs. So you can either book a 30-minute body freedom consultation at amberapproved.ca, or you can email me info@amberapproved.ca and we can talk about what is available and see if it feels like it fits. So I can't wait to connect with those of you that it does. So let's dive right into today's episode. So exploring our power leaks. Okay. So what exactly is a power leak? So it's pretty similar. Well, it is. It's what I talk about when you give your power away to your ego, right? So you're giving your power away to your ego, an external circumstance, a person, a behavior. Okay. And often what ends up happening when we give our power away to whatever, any of those things that I've just mentioned, we have certain thoughts, beliefs, emotions that then fuel certain behaviors, expressions, words, right? Like we're all only human. We've all gone into these circumstances before, unless you're enlightened. And there's a few people who are on this planet, but not very many. And it's a miracle it could happen for you, but we're going to have an ego. We're in duality. We're going to go back and forth between being in our power and giving it away. And it's all a learning opportunity. Okay. But it's very much about the ego leading the way and seeing how, depending on the way we aren't showing up for ourselves in our lives or in other areas of our lives, we can have these power leaks. So let's talk about some power leaks. I'm going to share a couple of mine that I've really been working on this year. And I feel like over the past year, because I think it's helpful to share personal experiences and that I'm human too. And I'm always working on my ego just as much as, you all are, if you're listening to this podcast. And it's funny because I'm always saying to the universe, like, bring more ease, bring more consistency, bring more stability. I want to master like my energy and my vibration. And when you say the word master, be careful what you wish for, because then the universe is like, oh, you want to master? Here, we're going to like really bring you the opportunities to master. So, but I I welcome it because it just helps me create more peace and calm and ease. So one of my energy power leaks that I've been working on clearing up is comparison. Not so much with others, like it's not like body image comparison. It's been, I'd say like early last year, I kind of, was found myself in it a bit more because I had started to mix with different business circles and women in business who had very successful businesses, had been in business for less time than me and were more successful, or quote unquote, they claim to be. Just because someone shares their stripe doesn't mean it's been, hasn't been photoshopped, right? Not saying everyone does that. But anyway, so I'm like comparing myself and my success of my business to others. That is a power leak because now I'm giving my power away and I'm going, but I've been in business for almost 10 years. How come I'm not as far as them, and why? And what am I doing wrong? And like, what do I need to change? And blah, blah, blah. And you just completely start to spiral in your thoughts and your emotions and you give your power away. And I've really been working on cleaning that up and not comparing myself, because it's like, I'm on my path. I trust my journey. I trust there's certain lessons I'm here to learn. I'm so grateful for my business and all the incredible women and, and men too on this planet that I get to help with healing. I'm so grateful for getting to share this podcast every week and be of service and help provide hope, reassurance, love, and light, like truly, and help educate you to be more in your power, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So like the comparison in that way to others has really gotten cleaned up. Now the comparison I'm working on cleaning up now is comparison to last year, right? How I ran my business last year, the things I did last year, the outcomes from last year. And wow, this year it's different. Wow, last year I did this and that part thrived, and this year it didn't. And it seemed like an epic failure, but I did this thing this year and it thrived, and last year it didn't, right? And when we compare to the past, so you might be comparing your body to the past, right? So a huge power leak in the past for me was when I lost all the weight through restriction, which I don't suggest ever, and then gained weight. And then I was comparing my body to the past, wishing I had the body I did in the past. A lot of us do that. Do you do that? Right? We do that because we are convinced that that just fixed everything when it didn't, and we yearn and hang on to the past. So that could be a power leak for you, is comparing your body and your weight from the past, right? So what I've really been working on cleaning up over the last few months is like, don't compare. Each year is different. Each year business is going to look different. Life is going to look a little different, and that's okay. And that we're here for the evolution and the expansion and the journey. And I'm so grateful for all the lessons I've been learning this year in life, in my business, and learning how to let go of more control and surrender more, and truly step more into a deep trust that the universe really does have my back, rather than like, oh, but does it? Like when you waver, when you question, when you doubt yourself, your capability, you're actually going into a power leak. And I'm going to talk more about emotions that are a sign that we're in a power leak, but you're giving your power away as soon as you go into doubt and questioning, like, I don't really know if the universe has my back, or God, or whatever you believe in. As soon as we do that and we waver, we're giving our power away. But it takes time to build trust and faith, because I feel like we have been taught that we are not fully supported and conditioned that we're not. And we've all been through different experiences that you may think, well, how come the universe made me go through this if the universe fully supports me? And I hear you, and I have the utmost love and compassion for whatever you've been put through or experienced. And know that we are here to evolve and expand, and we do really design and decide what experiences am I going to go through as a human in this lifetime to help me grow, expand, evolve, right? Food for thought. That's my belief. I really believe that. So that's an example though of a power leak that I'm working on. I'm always working on letting go of control. When you heal your relationship with food, what you really realize is that one of the reasons I had this binge eating issue and food addiction is because I was so deeply desiring to want to be in control and had a fear of losing control. And now obviously I have not had issues with that in years, which feels so good. But then it's like, I can tell when I feel myself wanting to have control. So here's another example. This one's pretty valid though. So here in Canada, good old Canada, Health Canada wants to bring in like major legislation to make it essentially more difficult to purchase vitamins and natural healthcare products. Okay. And this would significantly affect like 75% of like the health food stores, healthcare practitioners that like really do a lot of work with that kind of stuff, food products, essentially a lot of the brands I like to work with. So when I first found this out, because I'm just honestly not a fan of like, the the government and stuff here, just not, I don't want to get political, but they're definitely not in support of our greatest good here. I feel like most places. Anyways, it's a whole other conversation. But when I first heard it, I was so pissed. I was so angry. And I was just like, oh, this is so annoying. And then I go into fear and I'm like, oh my God, what if I can't like buy the supplements that I take that support my well-being? And like the spiral started, right? And then I'm like, oh, like, do I need to buy like a bunch of stuff and like stockpile? And like there's the desire for control and the fear of losing control and the fear of not having this anymore. And obviously it's a valid thing. Like, I don't think it makes any sense. And to me, it just goes to show you how much Health Canada really is probably in cahoots and working with the big PHARMA if they're wanting to make it a lot more difficult for you to access the natural things that can really help you with your health and well-being, right? Like, hello, there's such a huge connection. You're always hearing me talk about big food and pharma being in bed together, and this is no different. So yeah, obviously I'm pissed about it. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm like, okay, well, sitting here and being angry and frustrated and in fear is not going to serve me. So how do I be proactive and what can I do? Well, I can connect with other people who are feeling the same way. We can email, we can send letters, we can support our local companies, we can use our voices. I think now more than ever, we need to use our voices and we need to stand up and we need to say, no, I don't want this. I don't know who suggested this. Well, I kind of do know, but like, I don't consent. I don't want this. And I know at the end of the day, like I can't make the decision and I'm not going to make the decision, but I have faith in humanity and humanity's rising up and standing up. And that is essentially what we have to do. So instead of just going into this anger, fear mode and staying there, it's like, how can I be proactive? How can we spread the message? How can we reach out and express our opinions and share our voices and go, no, this is not okay. This is a huge industry. This is our health. This is many businesses, livelihoods that are great people that I know the owners of that are just incredible people that care so much about empowering humanity, right? So we stand together, right? And you may be going, well, Health Canada obviously has your greatest good in mind. Personally, no, I don't think so. Over the last few years and beyond, and through healing and seeing how Splenda sponsors the Diabetic Association, and Splenda is way worse than sugar and stores in your fat cells as formaldehyde, and margarine is sponsoring the Heart and Stroke Foundation, and it's essentially like melted plastic that you're eating. I don't trust any of these big systems. I just don't. Follow the money, follow the money, follow the money, right? And I think a lot more people are waking up to that, right? They're connecting the dots and really seeing what's going on. Anyways, back to my point, I was leaking my power when I had the reaction. And I think it's natural. We're all going to have reactions when different things happen, right? However, where we can learn to master is recognizing where we're starting to get really reactive and where our emotions and our mindset are starting to spiral, and you can feel yourself giving your power when you go, okay, I'm gonna have my few minutes. I'm gonna go and be angry. I'm gonna beat up my pillow and scream into it. I'm gonna go do some tapping or journal about it, or like, you know what I mean? Talk to others about it and see what we can do. And then I'm gonna let it go. And I'm gonna take my power back, because I'm not giving my power away to this system. Right. But that's a power leak. That's something that I experienced. And then, I think a lot of people have different things that come up, but I think like body image, weight, the number on the scale, maybe you failed epically on your quote unquote diet today, and now you're pissed at yourself, and now you're in the all or nothing mentality, and you're like, screw it, whatever, I'm going to eat whatever I want. Like, that's a power leak. And being in restriction and needing to use food, calorie apps to control your food for fear of losing control, and then punishing yourself with food and self-sabotaging, those are all power leaks, right? Feeling insecure, right? Your body image insecurities, your people-pleasing and perfection tendencies, needing to prove to others that you're good enough because you don't feel good enough, those are power leaks. Saying yes when you really want to say no, and then, being in this resentment with yourself, that is a power leak, right? If you are constantly holding on to and suppressing emotions like fear, guilt, shame, going into victimhood mode, which it's okay, we've all been there, but like owning your stuff feels way better when you learn how to do so. Blame, doubt, lack, these are all power leaks. We give our power away. Like I said earlier, comparing yourself, to others, or your business, or your success, or the kind of car you drive, or your body, or comparing to the past and like what you used to have that maybe you don't now, or comparing your body, maybe you were, you weighed less in the past and there's still this obsession with losing weight and looking a certain way or whatever it is. But, any form of comparing, dwelling and hanging on to the past, fearing or worrying about or trying to have immense control over the future, these are all things that take us out of our power. When we have a lack of trust and a lack of faith in ourselves, our abilities, and being supported by the universe, we're leaking power. Anytime we're overdoing, overthinking, overanalyzing, trying to prove or force or control out of lack or need or manipulation, right? This is all part of this giving our power away. Now the ego mind, right? This is what we're giving our power away to within ourselves. And then we give our power away to others and circumstances, situations, etc. But the ego is a protector. And it's just trying to protect us and keep us safe. However, the more you learn to master your ego and you learn how to take your power back, what used to quote unquote feel like it kept you safe or felt like it was a crutch or a vice or helped you cope, no longer is, and it actually becomes a block. And what you start to do when you take ownership or responsibility and you start to do your deeper work is you start to go, wow, like, okay, maybe up until this point, food was a soother because I didn't have any other way. And this is what I knew. But now that I see and understand what it's costing me with my health, my digestion, my hormones, my blood pressure, right? Like my mood, my mental health, my frequency, my bank account to keep in this, like it's now a block for me to keep tolerating using food, right? Same with the comparing your body or, trying to force your body to lose weight when your body's like, I don't want to lose weight right now. I've got like a million other priorities for you to look at and try and deal with first. Like, it now becomes a block. Our people pleasing becomes a block because now you're so overbooked and so overwhelmed. And it's exhausting to continue to have to try and people please to get validation that you're good enough rather than, spending some of that time and energy people pleasing and putting it into taking care of yourself and opening up time for yourself and saying yes to yourself, because that's how you're going to fill your void. Right. So as we learn about the ego, we learn what it feels like to be in our power and give our power away. And we start to see the things that aren't serving us anymore. People, places, circumstances, relationships, certain careers, jobs, businesses, behaviors, thoughts, beliefs, etc. Okay. And the more from an energetic spiritual standpoint, like we're in an ascension on this planet, and I've done episodes on it before, and I'll probably do an update soon. The Schumann resonance did some really cool stuff over the weekend that it was just proof we're on an ascension and this planet is on a trajectory upward. And that, of course, just like a candida protocol, you feel a little worse before you get better, and the world may seem a little before it gets better, but I have faith. But as the planet ascends and increases in vibration and frequency, and more high frequency light comes onto the planet, the quicker we manifest, and manifestation speeds up. And so that's why I think it's so powerful and potent for us to work on our power leaks and our mindset and our ego, because what you focus your energy on grows. And that's whether it's positive or negative. So focus more on what you want versus what you don't want, because the more we focus on what we don't want, the more, likely we are to attract it. And I think this is where it's so important to do our deeper work, because you become more of a manifesting magnet and you manifest things that you want more easily. When you're in your power, you feel more confident, at peace of mind. Again, we're all human. We have our moments. You might have negative thoughts and limiting beliefs. You may get triggered. That's fine. But it's like, can you recognize it? Can you catch it? Can you lovingly call it out for yourself? And then what are you doing to take your power back? Okay. So those are some examples of power leaks, right? I mean, it's different for everybody. Some of them are going to be external, right, with circumstances that I talked about, like the supplements and stuff, and some is going to be just you and yourself inside. But there's going to be external circumstances and just internal things within you and yourself that trigger this, and it's all to help you master catching, preventing the emotional spiral and the habitual spiral. And yeah, you're going to feel it, you need to feel it, and then use tools ideally to process it and then take your power back, right? So what does it feel like to be in power versus giving it away? What are the differences? So let's talk about this. Okay. So I'm just going to walk through a scenario, give some examples. There's all kinds of different examples, but I'm going to give some and then just pick what's resonant and leave the rest, because some of these may not be you, but some of them might be. Okay. So here's an example. I say, like when I used to binge and diet, right? So say I got on a new diet. and I had every intent of just eating clean all day. And then I went over to a friend's house and they served like something for dinner or dessert that was not on my plan. And then I ate it, right? And then I could feel all the guilt coming in, the frustration, the ego's like, F it, it doesn't matter anymore. The day is ruined. Like, you might as well just binge tonight because you already had this and you've already ruined your day and your diet. And like, that's it. You failed. Now you messed up. So you might as well start fresh like tomorrow or Monday. So just eat whatever you want. Right. So I've completely reacted over having one thing off my beaten path. That's the all or nothing mentality that I've now given my power away to. I'm now feeling guilty, judgmental, fearful, stressed about this food that I don't normally eat, which is all power leaks and giving my power away. I'm being hard on myself that I couldn't, again, for the 50 millionth time, attain the perfect diet and be perfectly eating clean because I wanted to live life and go to someone's house and I can't control what they're going to eat. And then, of course, I let the all or nothing come in and say, well, you've messed up. You might as well just like free for all for the rest of the day or the night. And then go into binge eating. So it's all giving my power away. That's all power leaks. I'm shaming myself. I'm being hard on myself. I'm right. My ego's in full blown control. And then I completely self-sabotage with food and I hurt my body. And then I'm in the guilt, the regret, the disappointment, the shame, the hopelessness. I did it again. I can't believe I did it again. Right. And then now here I am panicking the next morning, getting on the scale, seeing it's up like 5 pounds, of course, of water retention and stuff. But still, I didn't know that at the time, panicking, being critical of myself, going, you're never going to reach this goal and you're never going to blah, 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 get into this clothing size again. If you keep this up, like you need to try harder. Like that's the narrative. And so it's completely out of power. Right. So that's some of the example of like self-talk, emotions, behaviors, right? And then I'm trying hard to get back on the diet and I'm going to the gym to try and burn off some of those calories. So I'm not going to the gym to do mindful movement. I'm going to the gym to punish myself for my binge and my choice the night before that triggered me to go into an all or nothing mentality. So my workout is to burn calories to help control my body and prevent as much weight loss as possible. That's not mindful movement. That's mindless movement. If I need to go to the gym to punish myself or to burn a certain amount of calories to try and control my body because I hate her or dislike her, that is self-sabotage and that is punishment versus it's like, I want to go and move my body because I'm so grateful for my body. I'm so grateful my body can do this movement for me. It boosts my mood. It gives me a dopamine high. I feel grounded after. I feel more connected to my body. I feel stronger, right? I love the way my body feels as I move her, whatever. Like that's completely different. That's mindful movement, right? But that's one example, right? And then, this physical sensations in the body of what does it feel like when we give our power away? And you may want to listen to this a few times, write these examples down, start tuning into the physical sensations of your body. So when I'm giving my power away, I feel a drain of energy right away, a tightness in my chest. It gets a little harder to breathe. My breathing is more shallow. I feel a bit of anxiety. I have a knot in my stomach. My shoulders are more forward. I'm more contracted. Like I just feel my whole energy field around me like collapse, right? Instead of feeling really open, I'm just like, oh, I'm collapsed. I'm contracted energetically. My vibrations dropped, right? I'm in more negative emotions. I am, maybe you have a headache, maybe whatever symptom you currently have just like gets amplified and gets worse. You feel more puffy, you get more cravings. Maybe now all of a sudden you're like, oh, I give my power away, now I want to eat. But these are some of the physical sensations versus when we take our power back, our shoulders come back more, our field's more open and expanded, our body is more relaxed. Any twinges or pains will probably go away. The heart and the chest will be more open, right? You'll have consistent energy. Your mood will be stable. Your thinking will be in a calmer, state. You won't want to go into self-sabotage with food or any kind of self-sabotage for that matter. Your self-talk is more positive and encouraging, right? You process through situations and you own them versus blaming everything on everyone else. That's the victimhood mentality. And we've all been there. I used to be the best at that. And then I realized, wow, this isn't serving me. Like I'm the one that's reacting. This is my responsibility to deal with. It's no one else's fault that I'm binge eating right now and shoving all this food into my body. Like, yes, that person upset me, but I'm the one that's choosing to use this as a means of coping rather than learning how to work through the emotions or have the difficult conversation or say no or set the boundary or ask for help or whatever it is. Right. So it takes time, but as we learn how to own it, it's just such a liberating feeling and an experience to do so. So obviously when we give our power away, not only does it impact us emotionally, it impacts us physically, energetically as well. Impacts the frequency, like I talked about in the episode with like how emotional eating impacts our frequency. Go check it out. But it definitely has an impact. When we give our power away, right? As an example, with a relationship with food, you're either trying to go back to more control and restriction with diet apps and calorie counting and continuing to invest in diets and meal plans and quick fixes when you deep down know that that's not actually going to help you, but because you feel uncomfortable actually going and addressing the root causes, you continue to stay in that cycle because it's familiar. That's giving our power away. Using food to binge and numb out and emotionally eat and check out, just like mindless scrolling, binge watching TV to check out and numb out, right? That is all giving our power away versus going like, okay, I'm triggered. I want to over time learn how to cope in healthier ways. It takes time. It's not just all going to happen overnight, and that's okay, right? Another sign of you giving your power away is when you declare to yourself, when this person asks me again to do this or to help with this, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say yes to myself. And then the person asks and you say yes to them and you cave, right? You contract, you give your power away, and then you're pissed off at yourself and you're in this resentment of yourself, wishing you had the time and dreading that you said yes again. But that's the fear and the insecurity of upsetting and letting someone else down if you say no when it's a story. And 9 times out of 10, people are very supportive if you say no, right? But we get in our head, you give your power away to your ego, there's the power leak. And when you continue to tell yourself, I'm going to make changes, I'm going to get support to heal my relationship with food, I'm going to say no and set the boundary, I'm going to ask for help, I'm going to take 10 or 15 minutes for self-care today. And you continue to say, I'm going to do this for me, but then you all throw it all out the window and you keep lacking integrity with yourself and you keep just being hard on yourself. And then you don't, clean up the integrity. And maybe you're this way with others too, where you keep breaking your word. Like, that's a huge energy power leak. Instead of overcommitting, just commit to one thing and try and uphold it with yourself. And I know sometimes plans change and things change, but I'm talking like if you're chronically like breaking your word to yourself, that is a power leak. Okay. Why are you doing that? Why can't you follow through? What's in the way? It's usually unworthiness and fear of success, and I don't have time, and all the ego stories. When we keep overbooking our schedule to keep avoiding dealing with our stuff or facing ourselves, or because we feel guilty, right? That's giving our power away versus going, okay, there's guilt right now, but I'm going to work through it. And I know like the more comfortable I get with my new self-care routine, or saying no, it's going to get easier and the guilt will go away, because it does, right? But you've got to be willing to work through that little period of discomfort. And sometimes having support is one of the best ways through, because you have someone cheering you on, supporting you, guiding you, and it does make it easier because the person understands what you're going through. So that's where, if you want to reach out for support and get the savings for the birthday coaching sales savings, you are so welcome to. I think too, when we are in like judgment of self or others, jealousy of others, the negative self-talk, picking your body apart, lack of forgiveness for yourself, especially, and others too, but yourself, like these are all like power leaks. We're giving our power away to our ego. They block us from actually going within and actually building this worthiness, forgiving ourselves, learning how to befriend ourselves, and know that like what's best, the best experience that we can have is to learn how to heal with ourselves so we can have the best friendship with ourselves. But we will resist that because the ego stays in control, because we don't take time to learn about the ego, and or we just don't know about it. And how do you change something if you don't know about it, right? But essentially, when we're in these states that I'm talking about, right, we're emitting a frequency. What we focus our energy on, our emotions on, the habits we're in, we emit a frequency. We're focusing on, like, either say it's weight loss, for an example. Say you're just like desperate to lose weight. Well, the more you focus your energy on it and that it needs to happen, and you put the pressure on yourself, usually we create more of the opposite, more weight gain, or we plateau and it doesn't come off. And that's because you're so heavily focused on this needs to happen now. I need to have control over this. If this doesn't happen right away, like I'm going to be upset, right? Versus instead focusing on, like what I do with my clients. Okay, we're not going to focus on weight loss. You're not, ideally don't weigh it every day. Like let's pull away from that. But let's focus on and get curious about, why is your body hanging on to protection? Well, because the emotional eating and the overbooked schedule and the people pleasing and going to bed too late, and you're staying up on your phone instead of getting to sleep. And there's hormone and gut imbalances to investigate. And you're an empath and you're sensitive, and maybe you don't know how to navigate that and you don't feel safe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what if instead you focused on just slowly, lovingly working on these blocks and working on these things and helping your body to feel safe? And when you focus on that, the protection comes off without the effort, because you created an environment of safety, you regulated your nervous system, and you actually addressed the key blocks that were contributing, right? And what we focus on grows, and what we focus on, we manifest. So what do you want to tune out more that isn't serving you? And what do you want to tune more into and bring more of in that you want to manifest, and how you want to feel in your body, your thoughts, your beliefs, your mindsets, your identity? That'd be a great journal prompt and a great visualization. But I think it's so important that we start to catch that, and then we start to, shift and take our power back from that, because we're just powerful manifestors in a negative or a positive way. And it's not that every negative thought you think you're going to manifest, but if you're constantly focusing on something negative or a negative self-talk or these behaviors, and you're getting emotionally involved, that's how we manifest. Same with positive, right? So I hope this is all making sense. I think this is a very important conversation. So let's talk about, how do we start to clean up these power leaks, right? Because being present is the key. The more present you are, the more power you are, and you're in your full power when you're present. So how can we help you to become more present, right? So some of my favorite ways to help me become present are, I put my phone away, right? I don't touch it until my client day starts usually, and I put it away after my client day is done, and I leave it in our room or in a different room of the house, because I don't want to be on my phone after I'm done with my day. That helps me become more present. My self-care practice helps me become more present. Meditation, breath, tapping, journaling, silent reflection, a bath, a nice shower with Epsom salts, or that I do a salt scrub, or essential oils, just laying in bed and opening the window and listening to the birds chirp for a little while, right? There's all kinds of different practices that we can integrate and start learning to help us become more present. Even with your work, it's like, okay, instead of, I'm a multitasker, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to be really present. I love being really present, because then I enjoy it more and I infuse more love and great things into whatever I'm doing, whether I'm creating like images, or I'm recording the podcast, or I'm sending an email, or I'm with a client. Like, there's just so much power in that, right? And when we're in our power, the ego can't come in and take over. So self-care practice, building a self-care practice, phone and tech boundaries, I think are such great places to start. And really, when you're with someone and they're talking to you, can you be present and really listen to them and hear what they have to say? Look them in the eye, right? Be present. Practice being present. You may just want to look around your room and start naming off things that you see: bamboo, flowers, closet door, doorknob, picture, sparkly shoes, crystals. It helps you become present, especially if you're feeling really stressed, really in fight or flight. So I think, that's it. Start owning your integrity. If you say you're going to do something for yourself, start following through, but just start small and start with one thing, like drinking more water, getting to bed a little bit earlier, right? Starting to write down your emotional eating triggers. Don't try to do a million things at once, because then we get overwhelmed and it's not realistic. Maybe it's that you want to actually follow through with saying no to this person this time instead of yes, and then you do it. You block off the time in your schedule for your self-care, right? You take your lunch break and you don't keep working through. This is powerful. Powerful. This changes everything. Try to start letting go of needing to be the weight you were 5 years ago, and recognize that things are different right now. And that instead of trying to force and focus on weight loss, getting curious about why your body doesn't feel safe is more important. And if you don't know why, get support. I really encourage you to get support if need be, if you don't get that. And you can reach out and book a body freedom consultation, or you can email me or DM me and we can talk about what the journey can look like, right? And I think it's also important to be clear of like, well, who am I in my power? What does that even feel like? And to start to practice tuning into the physical sensations, the thoughts, the beliefs, emotions that I've been talking about in this episode. Gain clarity on that. Pull out a journal. Let's explore, like, when you're in your power, what are the thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors you're in? And when you're out of your power, what does that look like? So when I'm in my power, I'm present. I'm deep in gratitude. I see, challenges or struggles as a learning opportunity. I am, in not comparing the past, or to others. I'm deep in gratitude and trusting my path, my journey. I'm in deep trust and faith that I'm fully supported, right? I love my body. I'm always nurturing and taking care of her, making sure she has everything she needs. I am in trust that even though the thing is going on with this whole Health Canada thing, that I trust that there's always a boomerang, and I trust the universe, and I trust that there will be a very good outcome with this. Better than I can even imagine or ask for, right? When things are not in support of the greater good of humanity, there is a boomerang, and it is karmic, and it will come back. And I trust that, right? So when I'm in my power, I am calm, I am peaceful, my body is calmer and relaxed. When I give my power away, I'm contracted, I'm leaking energy, I'm pissed, I'm angry, I'm frustrated. Now, like I said earlier, you're a human living on a dualistic 3D planet. You're going to go back and forth between being in your power and giving it away. That is normal. The whole goal, though, through mastery of the mind and learning how to clean up your power leaks, is that you spend less time giving your power away and more time in your power as time goes on, regardless of what's going on in the world or in your world and your mind. You can live more in your power and have more peace of mind. That's the goal here. That is the mastery, right? Other power leaks, it could be things, it could be money. It's like, well, where are you spending $100, $50 every month on subscriptions you don't even use, and taking the 20 minutes to cancel them would clean up a leak. Maybe you want to connect with your money more, and maybe you feel contracted every time you pay a bill. Well, maybe you want to start thanking money that's leaving and coming in and being grateful because the bill you're paying is literally adding to your quality of life. I used to get so contracted when I pay for things, even if I have a lot of money in my bank account, then I'm like, stop that, be grateful. The universe can't give to someone who's contracted. You're shut off. Be grateful for this thing I'm paying for because it adds to my quality of life. Feels so much better, but I had to work on that. And that there was a lot of discomfort around that, right? It takes time to shift these things, especially if you've been in years or decades of hating on your body and being negative and being obsessed with the weight loss diet, chasing numbers, right? If you've been in binge or emotional eating for years or decades, if you've been the people pleaser for years or decades, you've been the all or nothing perfectionist, etc. Like, be patient, have compassion. It takes time to change this. It's not going to be overnight, but that's okay, because there's so much for you to learn, and there's so much value in really taking the time to build awareness and understand this, right? So I think I've given you a lot to take away. There's a lot of journal prompts, practices, things that you can start tuning into and building awareness within your body, your mind, your energy field, etc. If you love this, of course, and you're a new listener to the podcast, I'm so happy that you're here. You will love the over 400 episodes that have been recorded over the last almost 7 years. I'm so grateful to have you all with me. Just truly a blessing to share this with you every week. So listen to other episodes of the podcast. If you are curious, if you're struggling with emotional eating, you can go to amberapproved.ca, take the free emotional eating quiz as well. And if you know you want to dive in and explore going on a journey together, you can book a 30-minute body freedom consultation at amberapproved.ca. The link is also in the show notes at amberapproved.ca/podcast/421. And of course, 5-star reviews and ratings are always welcome. It just helps give people an idea of what you love about the show. So if you're open to leaving one, I am so grateful and appreciative for you doing so. And of course, if you have feedback or ideas for topics, I'm always welcoming that in as well. Oh, here's a power leak that I'll share. One last power leak, right? So I did a vulnerability episode of the podcast, a few months ago now, and I'm like, I'm not holding back. I'm not, out of fear of judgment or what people are going to think of me. If I share what's on my heart, I share my opinions, my views, etc. Okay.